This is Module 3, and we are going to be talking about fractions. And fractions, as part of a whole, and involve breaking into equal-sized pieces. So, we see fractions every day. We see fractions when we're driving, and we have a map, and it might give us directions. It might say, in half a mile, turn left, or it might say that in a quarter of a mile, you'll be at your destination. So we need to know fractions in order to go on trips. And then fractions are also, we can see those when we're cooking and we have a recipe, like if we're going to make cookies. It might say that you need half a cup of sugar or half a teaspoon of salt. So we need to know fractions when we're cooking so that way our food will taste good. So we're going to look at some fractions today. We're going to start off with some simple fractions. Like, here's 1/2. Now, the 1 represents the number shaded, and the 2 represents the number of pieces. So we have 1, 2, and then, so that's where our 2 comes from. And then here's the 1. So that just represents the shaded part right here. Here we have 1/3. So we still have our same block that we did from the 1/2, but we just broke it into 3 pieces instead of 2. So that's where the 3 comes from. And then we shaded one part of our block, so that's where the 1 comes from. Now we still have the same block, but we broke it into 3 pieces. It's the same block, broken into 3 pieces like the one we just saw, and then we shaded it 2 times. So 1, 2, and this one's left blank, so 2/3, just because 2 of the pieces of the 3 pieces are colored red. Now, this is the same block, but we broke it into 4 pieces, so the pieces are smaller. It's the same, but it's the same amount, same size block, just in different size pieces. So, it's the same block, just the pieces are smaller than when we broke it into 3. So now we have 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have 1/4 because I colored just one of the pieces. Now we have 3/4, and I have still my 4 pieces, but I colored 1, 2, 3. So that's where we got our 3 from. So, I have an apple tree right here, and I have, let's count how many apples I have on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 apples on my tree. So let's say some of our apples fell off. So some of my apples fell off. So let's count how many apples I have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 apples. So now we're going to figure out how many red and how many green are on there, and we're going to write that in fraction form. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 red apples. I'm going to go ahead and write that on our board. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 green apples. So we have an even number of apples. So since we have 8, 8 is going to be our denominator. And the way I remember denominator is denominator means down. So that reminds me that the denominator is always down, so that means it's on the bottom. So that's going to be our bottom number for each fraction. So we have 8 apples, 4 red, 4 green. So I'm going to write the 4 on the top. That's my numerator. So we have 4/8 and 4/8. And 4/8 is what's called an equivalent fraction because that's also equal to 1/2. So I have 1/2 and 1/2, just because we have 1/2 of our apples red and 1/2 of our apples green. So the way we can check to make sure that this is a fraction is because if we have 4 over 8 plus 4 over 8, that gives us 8 over 8, which is equal to 1. Now, let's say our apples grew back on our tree, and let's say they fell off again. Oops. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's just take one more apple off. Another one fell off. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 apples on our tree. So now let's figure out how many red and how many green are on there and write that in fraction form. We have 1, 2, 2 green. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 red. So our 6 is going to be our denominator because that's the total number of apples we have on our tree. And we had 4 red and we had 2 green. So we have 2 over 6 and 4 over 6. 2 over 6 can also be simplified to 1/3. Because if we divide these by 2, if we divide 2 by 2, we get 1. And if we divide 6 by 2, we get 3. 4 by 6 can also be simplified into 2/3. All I did was divide 4 by 2, and that's 2. And then 6 by 2 gives us 3. Now let's do another type of problem. I'm hungry, so we're going to have a snack time. And I have some bunny crackers for my snack. And my bunny crackers, we have different flavors. We have the vanilla ones, which are just the plain yellow vanilla ones. And we have chocolate chip, and these have little spots on them for the chocolate chips. And then we have our chocolate, which are the brown ones. So it's easier for us to figure out fractions if we can group things together. Sometimes you're not able to group things together like apples on a tree. But since I have objects in front of me, I can group them together. So I'm going to go ahead and group them together by their flavor. And we're going to figure out what fraction we have of each flavor. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chocolate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 chocolate chip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 8 vanilla. So that worked out good because we have equal number of each flavor. So we have 8 vanilla, 8 chocolate chip, and 8 chocolate. I just wrote down the beginning letters for each flavor just to make it easier for us. So we said we had 24 total. So each of these is going to go, so 24 is going to be our denominator. So we have over 24. So we're going to put 8 at the top of each of our fractions. So we have our 8 vanilla, our 8 chocolate chip, and our 8 chocolate. Now these fractions can be simplified because 8 divides into 24. No, actually it doesn't. I'm silly. But we can simplify these fractions. We want to divide it by 2. So if we want to divide it by 2, the 24 can become a 12 and our 8 can become a 4. So today we learned about fractions. We saw our fraction flashcards. We learned where we can see fractions, and then we also learned about fractions with our apple tree and our bunny snacks.